I am Dr. Varinder Sehgal. Today we will discuss greenhouse effect. First of all, we should know what is the greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect होता क्या है? The greenhouse effect is the way in which heat is trapped close to the surface of the earth by greenhouse gases. These heat trapped gases can be thought of as a blanket wrapped around the earth, which keeps it toastier than it would be without them. Greenhouse gases include carbon dioxide, methane and nitrous oxide. तो ब्लैंकेट किसका बनता है? कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, मीथेन एंड नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड. Greenhouse gases arise naturally and are part of the makeup of our atmosphere. Earth is sometimes called the Goldilocks planet. It's not too hot, not too cold, and the conditions are just right to allow life, including us, to flourish. Part of what makes Earth so amenable is the naturally arising greenhouse effect, which keeps the planet at a friendly 15 degrees centigrade temperature on average. But in the last century or so, humans have been interfering with the energy balance of the planet, mainly through the burning of fossil fuels that give off additional carbon dioxide into the air. The level of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere has been rising consistently for decades and traps extra heat near the surface of the Earth, causing temperature to rise. इन सब रीज़न की वजह से टेम्परेचर राइज हो रहा है एटमॉस्फेयर का. We should know what is the difference between solar and terrestrial radiation. Our sun is the main source of energy and heat. The incoming solar radiation to the earth is known as insolation. On the other hand, the upper layer of atmosphere absorbs some amount of heat from the rays of the sun as they pass through the atmosphere. Radiation from the earth is called terrestrial radiation. Energy from the sun, second type of energy. Energy from the sun that makes its way to earth can have trouble finding its way back out to space. The greenhouse effect causes some of this energy to be waylaid in the atmosphere, absorbed and released by greenhouse gases. Without the greenhouse effect, Earth's temperature would be below freezing. It is in part a natural process. However, Earth's greenhouse effect is getting stronger as we add greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. That is warming the climate of our planet. The greenhouse effect is the process by which radiation from a planet's atmosphere warms the planet's surface to a temperature above what it would be without this atmosphere. Radiatively active gases, that means greenhouse gases, in a planet's atmosphere radiate energy in all directions. Part of this radiation is directed towards the surface, warming it. The intensity of the downward radiation, that is, the strength of the greenhouse effect, will depend on the atmosphere's temperature and on the amount of greenhouse gases that the atmosphere contains. Earth's natural greenhouse effect is critical to supporting life and initially was a precursor to life evolving out of the ocean onto land. Human activities, however, mainly the burning of fossil fuels and clear cutting of forest, have accelerated the greenhouse effect and caused global warming. The planet Venus experienced runaway greenhouse effect, resulting in an atmosphere which is 96% carbon dioxide, with surface atmospheric pressure roughly the same as found 900 meter underwater on Earth. Venus may have had water ocean, but they would have boiled off as the mean surface temperature rose to the current 462 degrees centigrade. So, the term greenhouse continues to see use in scientific circles and the media, despite being a slight misnomer, as an atmosphere reduces radiative heat loss while a greenhouse blocks convective heat loss. The result, however, is an increase in temperature in both cases. So, spectrum of solar radiation on Earth like this. The solar radiation spectrum for direct light at both the top of Earth's atmosphere and at sea level the idealized greenhouse model is a simplification. In reality, the atmosphere near the Earth's surface is largely opaque to thermal radiation, and most heat loss from the surface is by convection. However, radiative energy losses become increasingly important higher in the atmosphere, largely because of the decreasing concentration of water vapor, an important greenhouse gas. Rather than the surface itself, it is more realistic to think of the greenhouse effect as applying to a layer in the mid-troposphere, which is effectively coupled to the surface by a lapse rate. A simple picture also assumes a steady state, but in the real world, the diurnal cycle as well as the seasonal cycle and weather disturbance complicate matters. Solar heating applies only during daytime. During the night, the atmosphere cools somewhat but not greatly because its emissively is low. Diurnal temperature changes decrease with height in the atmosphere. Mainly greenhouse gases, water vapors in it 36 to 70%, carbon dioxide in it 9 to 26%, methane 4 to 9%, and ozone 3 to 7%. It is not possible to assign a specific percentage to each gas because the absorption and emission band of the gases overlap. Clouds also absorb and emit infrared radiation and thus affect the radiative properties of the atmosphere. And effect of greenhouse gases, greenhouse effect is majorly global warming. We can see in this spectrum global warming. This show global warming. So, strengthening of the greenhouse effect through human activities is known as the enhanced greenhouse effect. This increase in radiative forcing from human activity is attributed mainly to increased atmospheric carbon dioxide level. Carbon dioxide is produced by fossil fuel burning and other activities such as cement production and tropical deforestation. Measurement of carbon dioxide from the Mauna Loa Observatory shows that concentrations have increased from about 313 parts per million ppm in 1960, passing the 400 ppm milestone on May 9, 2013. The current observed amount of carbon dioxide exceeds the geological record maxima from ice core data. The effect of combustion produced carbon dioxide on the global climate, a specific case of the greenhouse effect first described in 1896. Over the past 8 lakhs years, ice core data shows that carbon dioxide has varied from values as low as 180 ppm to the pre-industrial level to 270 ppm. जितना ज़्यादा कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एक्सक्रीट हो रहा है, जितना ज़्यादा कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एटमॉस्फेयर में हम दे रहे हैं, ह्यूमन एक्टिविटीज़, लेबोरेटरीज़, सीमेंट फैक्ट्रीज़, फॉसिल फ्यूल, इन सब से ग्रीन हाउस इफ़ेक्ट में इजाफा हो रहा है. तो दैट इज़ ऑल ग्रीन हाउस इफ़ेक्ट. नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में हम इसको कंटिन्यू करेंगे, ग्रीन हाउस इफ़ेक्ट के ग्लोबल वार्मिंग, उसके इफ़ेक्ट्स और उसके स्टैटिस्टिकल डेटा को. Thank you.